what I'm picking up this morning, and again, it's a completely counterintuitive uh, approach, but it's the only way. It's a one and zero. You're either caught in the system or you're watching the system, and the only way to change the system is by creating a new system, which is, or decentralizing your mind to that central mind that will continue to reinforce the behavior. So I'm just kind of saying the same thing. Um, and I wanted to give you an example about how this can show up in high performance if you're interested. I watched a fight. You don't have to be interested in fighting this. You can see this in many different sports. And I think that the sports people of the highest level are usually the most conditioned. They're conditioned by the system to be ultra competitive. And so I had some thoughts about ultra competitive people almost being addicted, right? They're addicted to winning. The person who's rated as the greatest of all time in mixed martial arts, a guy called John Jones, who has had a bit of time off. And the reason why he's so good is why he's so able. And let me just write this out. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, hopefully. Can you just let me know if that, I mean, it doesn't have to be, it's not spinning the words around, you can read it, yeah? Just let me know. That'd be great. So John Jones, he's here. He's all about able. The guy is unbelievably able. And what he does for a living is he makes people unable, like by beating them up. He dominates. He dominates people. Yeah. And he's so able. He knows he's so able that he's the best in the world at this particular sport. Okay, that's no surprise there, right? But what happens is he has a problem. And I don't know if you can guess what it would be, but it's something over here, correct? Right? Something here. Now, what's an example of someone who's unable to stop doing something? I'm gonna see if you write the word for me. Maybe it's too early in the morning. Is anyone gonna write it? Okay. Oh, it starts with A. Addict. So he's an addict. And he's done I think he's come out and said he's got substance abuse. So cocaine and alcohol. He's caused problems where he hit a car, the lady was pregnant. And what did he do? He ran away. He ran away from the crash, leaving the pregnant woman in the car, who was unable, the pregnant woman was unable, but he was unable to deal with that situation. So what did he do? He ran away, which makes him able. Another thing with John Jones is that the week before his fights, he doesn't do this anymore, but because he was so stressed around this that he would party and drink. So he was trying to make himself unable. So if he wasn't able to win, he'd have an excuse. Okay, do you see that play out? So most people on the course, by the way, they think that it's the other way around. Most people on this course, you and I, we think we're unable. We're kind of more jammed up on the unable, yeah, and we want to be there, yeah. And so he's so jammed up here with his able, and so doesn't want to be unable, that he becomes world champion, the best of all time at mixed martial arts. Okay, so that's the kind of it's kind of like the dark side of high performance. Would you agree? No one talks about that, but that's kind of, it creates a problem. It's like dirty fuel. It makes you very good, but you're unable to change, and it imprisons you. So you have problems like this, or you're unable to accept that you no longer have the physical attributes, and you become depressed. Depression or is where you go to bed, so you hide or you move away. So when you're unable, when you're jammed up, one of your methods of dealing, coping with it is by distancing, moving away, shutting down. Okay. That could be physical distances, you move away from someone, or you shut down internally, so you move away from the problem. Now, just the reason why I explain that is on Saturday night there was a fight in Brazil. It was there was a kind of youngish 31-year-old fighting an older fighter, Teixeira, who's Brazilian. And I spoke to someone before the fight and said, I think this younger guy has got the mentality that wins, as in he has this. But I didn't go into this. I said, yeah, I think mentally he has something, this. And the other guy said, no, Teixeira will take him down and bully him, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so the fight happens, and this guy has gone to Brazil, which is extremely hostile, but he believes in himself. And you can tell he just completely is over here, yeah? Dominates the guy, absolutely dominates him. In the end, everyone leaves the stadium. It's the final fight, but he dominates it so much that all the Brazilian crowd walk away. Then he's walking around and he realizes, and watching, he realizes the moment that he's the world champion now. So from nobody, he is unable to control his emotions and breaks down and falls to the ground. And he's crying. It was very emotional. I was emotional for him. I connected with this situation. And he was unable to talk to the guy who was interviewing him. He completely collapsed. They tried to lift him up. He was completely unable to stand on his own 2 feet. He was hanging off the guy. And he was unable to talk. And I'm watching it happen. And then he says, he gives away the information. So the interviewer says, he said, you don't know what I've been through, where I've come through, what I've come. How many people said I couldn't do it? How many people said I was unable? And then he got angry. His anger came out, and I proved them wrong. That's what makes him a world champion. The anger to the people said he was unable, and he showed them. John Jones, it's the same mentality. And so the unableness came through the grief of, when this throws up loads of grief, but it also throws up a lot of anger. So when I'm working with someone, there's going to be grief, and so the lungs are affected, but there's also a lot of anger. So the liver, yeah. Anyway, so the guy is the grief, the unable comes out. He's unable, and then he kind of pulls himself together, and the anger and the just coming back to John Jones when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and everyone, he's come out, he's got an addiction, he can't stop drinking, he can't stop cannot stop, unable to stop doing stupid stuff and ruining his reputation. And Joe Rogan says, that you're getting all this criticism and everything, you're going to take it on board now. He goes, I'm going to prove them wrong. It's an amazing moment in that podcast. He goes, I'm going to show them, I'm going to prove them wrong. So it's again reinforcing this behavior of I'm going to fucking stick it to them, which is why you want to bet on him in a fight, but you don't want to bet on him being able to resolve this issue. Yeah. So if I worked with him, would I make him a better fighter? I don't know. If I balance this and that nastiness, this can be very nasty, flip this way. Yeah. If you flip it the other way, more like you and I, more that we don't feel able, we're quite nasty to ourselves, right? Anyway, if you took away that nastiness, I think it would take away something but he would be happier. He wouldn't be so imprisoned, but then he probably wouldn't, for a living, smash and dominate people. Okay. So that, I think, is a very interesting lecture on high performance that no one's talking about.